Welcome back, nerds. Fino here with a guide for Summer Suzuka Gozen. She's a limited 4-star rider introduced in Servant Summer Festival 2, and the question today isn't whether you should roll for her. She's on the same banner as Summer Castoria after all. No, the question is how well she measures up against her in-class rivals. To figure that out, we're going to start with Suzuka's Noble Phantasm. Midsummer Paradise Nimbus Garden is an AoE quick attack with a preemptive anti-lawful power mod, and its overcharge is super effective damage against Earth attribute enemies. Quick refresher, power mods bleed onto your face cards, while super effective damage applies only to the NP itself. So Suzuka has a nicer follow-up onto the former than she does the latter. If you're curious about who gets double whammied, Media Lily, Caster Nitocris, Merlin, both versions of Morgan, Penthesilea, Lancelot, and Duryodhana are both lawful and Earth, in case they show up as the last boss in any farming runs or AoE encounters. As for Suzuka's skills, Summer Flag is the most important one. It's a targeted NP gain and cooldown reduction package that, regardless of your target, gives Suzuka 30% charge at level 10. Outside of weird nodes where you just need one AoE NP and then your single target attacker handles the rest, you'll want to put this on Suzuka herself. To this end, you should also prioritize her starting charge up end skill to give her an even 50%. Now while you level this first, you should use it last in a typical run, due to its cooldown reduction effect. Next up is Battle Fuck Super Summer. Oh wait. I'm being told BF stands for Beach Flower. But I made you look, didn't I? This is a party attack buff that dumps out stars, 15 at level 10, and gives NP damage to Summer Mode allies. This includes her, of course, but there are some other notable options. There's a very high chance you're going to run into a single Summer Scotty in your lineup, and she does receive this buff. Though unless you have a roided up Summer Skadoodle, you probably aren't going to attack with her. Summer Murasaki is a fellow anti-Earth rider, and she's single target to boot. See if you can find the charge to use both at the same time. It's not a bad team-up. Summer Dobrynya qualifies if you're up against an archer boss with caster trash. Summer Ibuki is AoE, but reciprocates with team might NP gain for Summer Mode allies. Lastly, Ash the Savior's Third Ascension, Summer Morgan, meets the criteria for this skill and also benefits from Summer Flag, at least pre-Append 5. So if you're in a weird spot where you need both a rider and a caster AoE at the same time, it is an option. By the way, certain costumes come with the Summer Mode trait, so if you want to run Suzuka with any dudes, you should look into that first. Last up in Suzuka's toolbox is Divine Power, Summer. It's a personal quick and crit damage buff. It also has an on-hit component. Any crits that Suzuka gets trigger a preemptive attack buff. In situations where you're confident in your charge totals but not your final wave damage, you have the option of priming the pump by placing Suzuka's other cards in front of her Noble Phantasm, especially if it's a Mighty Chain with her Buster and Arts cards. Thus, it's possible to sneak in extra attack buffs along the way. After her first Noble Phantasm, Suzuka won't have issues getting stars, so if you're looking to set up command codes, I'd recommend some crit damage options to capitalize. That said, she has a bit of an uneven relationship with the Scotties. With only a single Buster card at her disposal, Suzuka generally prefers help from an extra caster Scotty. However, the mechanics of Divine Power mean that a one-turn star dump has hypothetical value. Suzuka's own 15 isn't enough to guarantee crits across the board, so if you're going single core Suzuka, you'll have to figure out some balance between caster Scotty, ruler Scotty, and potentially Oberon as well. It's a bit of a moving target, so you'll have to adjust on the fly. Compounding this confusion is that Suzuka frankly isn't very flexible in the refund department. While Black Rail is ideal in terms of damage, I had difficulty maintaining enough charge in mixed Berserker nodes even with a third Scotty. So for situations like that, a starting charge option like Traces of Christmases Past will have to be your fallback. Despite all this, Suzuka is the best 4-star AoE quick rider in my book. She's not the best AoE quick rider period. I think Taigong Wang has a better claim to that position. But if you look at 4 stars and below, she's up against a lot of really old units with major drawbacks. You have deficient loopers like Astolfo and Carmilla, potatoes like Marie, and then there's Summer Ishtar. Right now, Sishtar has a nasty pitfall where she's stunned by one of her loop-relevant skills, so either you bring countermeasures or you just don't use it. But she actually gets a buff next year that removes this penalty and also adds a battery to the package, making her much more usable for generic rider needs. But I'd say Suzuka is still better. If you're curious about how she measures up against the 4-star arts riders, you're generally trading off consistency for damage. Unless you have a particular need for Santanimo's anti-evil damage or the Habanyan Gambit, you'd just go with whoever you have the most NP levels on, assuming you can meet the refund check. Summer Suzuka is generally a good servant who, in a vacuum, is useful for coverage but not world-changing enough to headhunt. However, she has the good fortune of being on the same banner as one of the most overpowered servants in FGO history. So if anything, the question is, how many Suzukas are you going to end up with by the time you're done? Now I've got a question for you. How many of you have Summer Ishtar? Because I can tell ya, I had to do some pretty serious farming with her back in the day, and it tended to be a little touch and go. If you're watching this the day it comes out, I'll be rolling for Typhon over on my stream, twitch.tv/Finotaisen. She's a character that comes into the picture later this year and then stays in NPC prison for a while, so if you want to see what's up with that, stop by and have a look. If you're curious about what I get up to in my non-FGO streams, but you don't want to sit through multi-hour VODs, I actually have a highlights channel, Fino and Friends. I'll link it down in the description if you're curious. See you next time.